Hello and welcome back to the Argyle CIO Leadership Forum. My name is Vicki Lynn Brunskill with Argyle. It's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our esteemed speaker for this session. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during the event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience today. And at any time, you can visit those virtual booths from the main agenda page. To ask questions throughout this session, simply type into the Q&A chat. We will address your questions at the end of the session. And now, without further delay, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Raj Kadam, Senior Vice President, Health Plan Operations and Chief Information Officer, Liberty Dental Plan. We are excited to have Raj with us for a keynote presentation titled Gen AI Use Case, Efficiencies to Deliver ROI. Welcome, Raj. Over to you.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you for having me. And again, as Vicky mentioned, this is Raj. And today I'll through certain generative AI use cases that we have already deployed at Liberty Dental Plan and have already delivered on ROI, right? So we have been working on this for quite some time, along with putting all the data structures together, and then came Gen AI, and that helped us boost our use cases to deliver the ROI. Before I get started, a little bit about Liberty Dental Plan. Liberty Dental Plan is a dental insurance company. So we are not a provider. We don't have dental offices. It's more insurance. So we basically process claims and do prior authorizations, take calls, all that kind of stuff, what a general insurer does. And so that calls in for a good amount of Gen AI use cases for us, right? So we are about 1,200 people, employee strength. We are across the country. Our clients include, you can imagine all the big medical insurance plans like Elevance or Anthem, Cigna, Aetna, and certain markets, they kind of outsource or we white label the dental insurance piece for them. All right, so that's in a nutshell about Liberty Dental Plan. So talking about ROI, as you can see here, this is the kind of ROI we have realized, right? So the very first one, and I'll walk you through these initiatives in detail. So the very first one is, as I mentioned, as an insurance company, we process claims. So, and we still receive a good amount of claims and paper. So KFI claims, then the call center, obviously we take a lot of calls. We do something called case management. So in healthcare, there is a concept for case management, and then you have certain automation initiatives that we have taken care of, right? So a total of $8.5 million in savings, if you will, which is 5% of our entire company's SG&A, and which delivers an ROI of 328%, right? So with that, I'll start with our kind of our story, right? How we started with Modernize and Automate. So I joined this company about 2.5 years ago. When we began, okay, we started with some automation areas, after which we led into hugely focused on RPAs, and we use UiPath for that. Then we started focusing more on moving our data warehouse to the cloud. We were successful in moving the data warehouse to the cloud. That gave us good amount of scale and leverage as far as our data goes. Based on top of that, then we could build our AI models, Gen AI models as well, to realize the ROI, right, and come to it. So now we are at a stage where we are rolling out more AI and Gen AI projects while optimizing the existing ones that are already live, because obviously things keep on changing. So how do we architect our systems becomes very imperative, right? I just put this like a simple SWOT analysis together. So, what were our strengths? So, foundational infrastructure in a new data center. So, obviously, as I said, I joined 2.5 years ago. The very first task was to move our data center because our data center was had a lot of technical debt. So, the very first thing we did was move the data center, move the call center to the cloud, and move the data warehouse to the cloud. Right. So that gave us a very strong basis on which we could stand. Then we had the bot automation because we already built that skill set, if you will. We fortified our security from a cybersecurity perspective. From an opportunity perspective, enterprise-wide effort to refine quality of data, AI development to level up our user, member, or provider experience. Weaknesses, as you can see, of course, we still have a good amount of manual processes that we are in the process of automating. Data integrity, because data governance, data integrity is huge. From a threats perspective, cumbersome processes that would lead to issues with member, provider, client retention, technology complacency, so that kind of a thing. All right. So this is our journey in the sense when we say we modernized and automate our operations. So I'll go one by one. So talking about AI solutions. So this is the very first use case that we sought after. So we approximately have received 40,000 claims a day and authorizations, and out of which a good number are paper claims. Now, in the dental world, these forms that we receive can be in any format. Generally speaking, our variation, we have about 12 to 15 different formats of forms that we receive. And then they can even just on a simple plain piece of paper, they can just write down, okay, this is the provider, this is the member, these are the procedures that were conducted, and here you go, this is the claim, right? So having data entry clerks doing this manual process was very cumbersome. So we came up with our AI automation tool, which is not just OCR, but on top of that has cognitive abilities as well, in the sense that uh, any handwritten elements could be caught, and we are at a point where we are 98.5% level of accuracy on the forms that we gather, right? So that gave us a savings of about $600,000. It's all the accuracy issues were resolved also because obviously a machine accurately could capture the data, then kind of a fatigued human being right at the end of a 8 hour shift or something like that. It enabled efficient automation, enhanced data accuracy. Our claims adjudication became way faster because that entire cycle of data entry and QA was kind of compressed by this technology. Gave us a good amount of scalability because we are a very fast growing company. So with the growth, it has given us that capability to get to that point where we can scale and we can go through this, right? So this was our very first kind of AI solution. The second one that we went live with was our call center AI, right? So we receive calls from members, providers, all that kind of stuff. We had a staff of about 600 call center agents, and which we reduced. And I'll tell in a bit how we reduced that, right? So these calls come in for any kind of reason, right? From having claims inquiry to inquire about eligibility of members for insurance. Then certain things, okay, help me find a provider, a dentist in my area. So all these kind of calls come in, which Average handle time is about 7 minutes. So what we did was we have this whole conversational AI. We used Google CCAI or Google Contact Center AI technology, which is in multiple languages too. So far we have gone live with English and Spanish. And so whenever, first and foremost, whenever a member calls in, the authentication has to be done that this is the member, the general type of questions, right? Um, Date of birth, other last four of your social security, or whatever the case might be. All those things are verified by Google CCAI. And then when they ask specific questions, okay, help me find a dentist in this zip code, then it has a conversation and helps solve that problem. All right. So with that, we basically are down to about 300 call center agents. And we are rolling more and more use cases with this particular technology, right? So you can see we have eligibility, benefits, office listing, and claims inquiry. Those are the top four calls that account for about 60% of our calls, right? So if we tackle those, which we are already in the process of doing it, that gives us that ROI, and it even catches on sentiment of the caller, right? So and it responds accordingly in two languages. Our goal is to expand in more multiple languages as well, going from there, right? The benefits ROI, AI powered self service, enhanced caller experience, of course, improved support, intelligent call learning, refinement of resource allocation, right? And this has given us a good annual savings of about $4 million, right? And accurately answering the calls without any fatigue or sentiments, and recognizing sentiments. So this is our next one. This is what we call Care Assistant. Now it's a case management system. So in healthcare, you will see that there is always this requirement to care manage or case manage use patients or members, right? So depending on their condition, so if we are managing members for, say, a large insurance company like Cigna or Anthem, and we know from a medical perspective this person has diabetes or is prone to some heart related diseases, then how do we take care of the dental care aspect of it? There was a plethora of data that used to come in manually to enable patients for case management. So and you can see on the top here, this was kind of our workflow in how many touch points the data used to flow in and what used to happen, right? And it was a highly manual process. Now what happens is all this data gets aggregated, and using multiple LLMs, the way we have architected it and how we have even used, say, traditional AI to give a good prompt to the LLMs. It finds the barriers to care. It generates the patient actions that need to happen, and sets the goals and everything of that sort, right? So this is kind of a care plan that gets created. So traditionally, a care manager used to take about 90 minutes to generate a care plan for one member or one patient. All right. Now, GenAI just does it, and the care manager, who's normally a nurse, just reviews it for like 5 minutes. All right. And this is done with high accuracy. Imagine a nurse going through pages and pages of doctor notes to find what are the barriers to care, or what are certain things happening with this particular person or patient or a member. All that is taken care of by Gen AI. All right. So this had a huge ROI again of 2.5 million members. But more than this ROI is the level of care now that we provide to our members or patients to the lowest level of granularity, if you will, of accuracy of data. All right. So this was a huge win for us from our purpose providing care to patients. This is another solution, which is a teledental asynchronous, in which the patient sends pictures of their teeth, and our system basically finds out whether this is a, how does the tooth look like, and tries to identify a problem right out of the bat, right? There are certain solutions on fraud, waste, and abuse. Obviously, this is like a typical AI solution in which we try to find, okay, what are the various reasons for fraud, or if there is a fraud, right, or an abuse in care that the dental offices might be doing. We have our AI solutions there. Within IT, similar to what most of you might have, ServiceNow, we have Freshwork. And within Freshwork, we have implemented something called IT self-service. So this whole self-service aspect has helped in reducing our help desk count by a considerable amount. So now we have one help desk person per 200 employees, right? So that is the stats. Whereas Gartner's general thumb of rule is about one help desk person for like 45 employees. All right, so we have gone to 200. And these are the various aspects, right? So conversational support, one-click access, anything. Okay, I need a new laptop, or any kind of those requests. You just chat with our chatbot, which we have implemented. We call it Smiley for the down reason, and has given us a huge, tremendous ROI. That of course there is this whole GitHub Copilot that we are doing uh, work proof of concept, and so that is something that we are enabling. We are working on to see what can be workable from a productivity perspective of developers, right? So that is something that we are working on very actively. Um, Another thing, we respond to a lot of RFPs. So RFP response solution, right? So we have fed in, and this is another proof of concept that we are going through. Um, Proof of concept that we are going through, in which the RFP process needs modern RFP process that we are doing, that is all automated using generative AI. Right. So we have fed all the responses over the last, I believe, 10 years into the LLM. And now any new RFP that comes in, we feed that and we go from there. So that is something that we are doing. This is kind of the AI solution implement timeline, if you will. So you can see teledental asynchronous, case management, AI fraud. So all the projects that we looked at, we have gone through all of those. Talking about the analytics infrastructure, right? So remember I mentioned about we having our data warehouse up in the cloud. So this is how the picture looks like. We use Synapse in Azure to host our data warehouse. Obviously, we have created the new the new data model, if you will, and have gone from there. There were a lot of challenges, right? So lack of self-service for reporting, manual data handling, limited agility, operational inefficiencies. all that kind of got resolved because of the whole uh, moving the data warehouse to the cloud and providing self-service. Um, so that's more of modernizing analytics, right? And then this is the whole automation initiative that I talked about, right? So which has an ROI of about $1.4 million. So these are like small processes across the board that we have worked towards to automate the whole process. So claims, there are so many things that are still done manually. So one by one, we have tackled a good amount of things. Our claims auto adjudication, if you will, was somewhere around 70%. We have brought it up to 85%. And then the manual 15% that is still left, we are trying to automate that as well, right? So certain things on claims, certain things on other operations, there are certain sheets and certain guidelines that people look at. is nothing but your prior authorizations that you receive for any treatment. So dental care outreach process. So outreach a process to someone. We are trying to use Gen AI there, right? So what happens is our nurses call the members or patients, and we are experimenting with Gen AI. Gen AI enabled conversational AI to give a call, educate the patient, and to have them take the next steps, if you will. All right. So that has saved a huge amount of human cycles to just place a call, do something, and all that kind of stuff. Right. So that's And what are the key takeaways? Key takeaways are uh, for us as CIOs, right? Obviously be an evangelist in the sense that there is a good amount of skepticism, fear about AI. So obviously be an evangelist in the sense, make sure you engage your stakeholders, you educate them, get to a point where everyone understands in layman language what does it mean, because there is a lot of narrative out there in the media when it comes to certain processes or certain things like that. So how do you give that level of education to people, or your stakeholders, giving them that level of comfort that it is safe to use AI and there is a huge ROI to that, right? So that is one. Obviously, it's an iterative SDLC. What we found out that compared to a traditional SDLC or software development lifecycle, it is more left and right heavy. And what I mean by that is your architecture, your design on the left hand side takes a lot of cycles, and then doing the QA takes a lot of cycles, right? As compared to a traditional SDLC. So QA from a perspective of, yes, you really got from the AI model, whether it's an LLM or your traditional AI, you really got the output that you were looking for, right? What is the level of accuracy? How much you need to fine tune your prompt to your LLM in an iterative way, right? So all those things. The criteria that we use for project selection was, obviously we did a huge process study. We looked at, we as a technology team, right? We looked at various processes on the business side that were heavily manual, that we could be a low hanging fruit to really not just automate, but use generative AI to get that done, right? So we did extensive process study, we did cost savings and ROI analysis, and last but not the least, there is huge amount of business support that we gathered, right? So which is key. at the end of the day for anything. That the business teams need to support you for a particular project. And obviously, going back to the key takeaways, you have to be the evangelist, get the business team on the same page before you start doing certain things, right? So with that, I'll open up to any Q&A.
Thank you so much, Raj. What an insightful, there was so much good information.
Thank you. As a reminder, audience, you can still enter questions. I'm going to review now a couple of the questions that came in. We should have time for 2 or 3. The first question is,
Big one. What ethical considerations should data leaders keep in mind when implementing Gen AI solutions in their organizations?
Oh, that's a very important question. Ethical means that is the most important aspect. So it goes down to the level of course, your data governance, making sure your data integrity, your quality of data is intact, and then based on that, you leverage certain platforms that you trust completely to go about with it, right? So it's a matter of huge. I would say that's the biggest consideration we did. That's the biggest proof of concepts also we did when we personally used OpenAI through Microsoft Azure Cloud, the LLMs that we use. So all that was considered big time with the help of the cybersecurity team that reports into me. So yeah, that is a huge aspect in all of these projects.
Thank you so much. Our next question is, how can we balance the benefits of Gen AI with potential concerns about privacy and data security?
I would say the benefits outweigh the privacy, and I'm not saying that in a light way, right? In the sense that if you rely on a particular platform, there is privacy, right? And to a point where yes, our data is not being used anywhere else, and go forward slowly, steadily, right? Uh, you can have your LLMs completely implemented, what they call your private LLMs in your data center as well. So, but obviously it has its pros and cons, right? At the end of the day. But I would say the benefits outweigh big time. And uh, we from all the projects that we have done, obviously certain aspects of data, right, or in our healthcare world, PII plays a big role. We try to mask it as much as possible and just give the context to the LLM. All right. And then when the output comes back, we attach it back to the right appropriate patient or member. That is how we have taken care of privacy from our perspective.
Thank you. This is a good question. Has this impacted your user satisfaction surveys? Often AI can be a hamster wheel of irritation to a user.
Actually, our satisfaction surveys and the results have improved quite a bit because, and we tried to dig in the reason also behind that. The response we got was they got the information that they were seeking for. So they really did not care whether it's a human being behind it or it is AI talking to them. And what one of the feedbacks that we specifically got was we don't hear the fatigue in human being after they work like 7-8 hours a day. It's the same sentiment, same kind of conversation with AI that they received, and they were actually happy with it. So we have so far, right, knock on wood, we have not seen like overly negative reaction because people have got all the information that they were looking for.
Excellent. Thank you. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you, Raj, again for such an incredible keynote. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And this session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. For those of you who did earn points throughout today's event for those prizes, an Argyle team member will follow up with the winners in the next couple of weeks. And this does officially conclude the Argyle CIO Leadership Forum Data Innovation 2024. Thank you all again for joining us today and engaging in our content. We look forward to seeing you at our next Argyle Digital Information Technology event, which will be our CISO Leadership Forum Cloud Security and Governance on August 22nd, 2024. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great. Thank you, Raj.
Thank you.